Welcome to another episode of Live from the Wish House with me, Chris Spinner. If you're a regular, welcome back. And if it's your first time, I'm so happy you're joining us. My path profoundly changed when my son was diagnosed with autism. My marriage collapsed, and I began to develop my own Cris-losophies to navigate and thrive. I'm here to connect with you to share and learn, and together we can open our minds to creating the life you love to live. Please subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and stories. So welcome back to the Wish House. At the recording of this episode, full disclosure, we are getting ready to head into the end of the year holiday season, but my topic today really offers some valuable conversation and some practical tips on how to navigate the holidays in general or any special event with a special needs child. It isn't as easy as you think, but you can make it much smoother if you plan ahead of time. I have some strategies. I know what you're up against, so let's dive in. You would think if you're attending a family event that the support for you and your special situation would be naturally built into the family dynamics. But most of you are going to be in for a surprise. Oftentimes, the way things have always been is what will be expected of you. Sometimes your family isn't going to be on board with rocking the boat of traditions that your family has adhered to for many years. In addition, you will be very surprised how many people don't understand even the subtle nuances of your child's psyche. Now, that's not all families, and that's not all friends, and that's not all neighbors. But again, you're going to be surprised at how much pushback you're going to receive. Let's begin with some of my personal experiences. If you're a regular listener and subscribe to my podcasts, you will know I have an autistic son. My wonderful young man, Anthony, is now 30 years old. And so I think I'm going to work backwards and tell you about what we do now, what we do at present, which is very simple. Anthony and I spend our holidays alone, just the two of us. That is something that has evolved through the years, especially now that my parents are both gone and my brother as well. The immediate family holiday gatherings would have been different anyway. While I still remain very close to my nieces and my sister-in-law, the family holiday traditions have definitely changed as the years have moved forward. I'm always invited to my eldest niece's home for all of the holidays, and she also extends the invitation to anyone that I would like to bring with me and Anthony, such as a mentor or an aide, to help us through the holiday, and she always offers a place to stay in her home. And while I'm grateful for that, at this point in the journey, there's no reason to upset our little apple cart. Anthony doesn't love long rides, and my family does live a distance away. Anything that he wants to have attention for needs to be addressed. If he likes to be in his own space, if he likes to eat the foods that he likes to eat, our cozy little holiday for two doesn't stress him out. And if it doesn't stress him out, it doesn't stress me out. So it's easier attending to the things that Anthony wants by being by ourselves. Now, the first year we did this, and I began to realize that this was going to be our best bet, I was secretly a little sad. Because in my family, holidays were family. And it didn't matter how crazy or how dysfunctional, I still grew up with tons of family and friends around me. And I raised Anthony in that environment as well. And as a young child, he loved it. But as he aged into his teenage years, into his years of being a young adult, and his anxiety started to increase and his behavior started to change, our holidays started to become smaller and smaller. So when it became apparent that it was the easier and best choice to do our holiday for two, I still had major FOMO, as they say. But now I look forward to the holidays more than ever. We have our own little traditions, and the rhythm of the 2 days that Anthony spends with me is, in a world, beautiful. We made tradition, any tradition, our tradition. And now we have silly little traditions. For instance, our unorthodox Christmas. We have a barbecue Christmas dinner where we pretend it's summer and eat hot dogs and sauerkraut and macaroni salad and potato chips. And we take pictures of ourselves in sunglasses and fun summer hats. And we play the Beach Boys Christmas album throughout our dinner. I can't even imagine giving that up now, our almost 10-year tradition. And then after the holidays, I take myself up to my family for extra celebrating. And Anthony then isn't involved in situations that would be difficult for him to navigate. And I can enjoy myself without that concern and worry. Now, like I said, this wasn't always the case. Anthony went into crisis in his teenage years. Before that, we were regulars at the family holiday celebrations all throughout the years. But even those posed some tricky bumps in the road. As everyone knows, holidays focus on foods, barbecues for the 4th of July, and lots of candy and snacks on Halloween, and of course a traditional turkey dinner on Thanksgiving. And most kids enjoy that. But it's almost a given if you have a child with any kind of special needs, especially a developmental special need, something that includes issues with processing or sensory or communication, you're not going to have an easy go of it when it comes to those kind of holiday foods or dinner choices. And Anthony was one of those kids from the get-go. He was opposed to turkey on day one. To this day, he won't eat turkey on Thanksgiving. I still make him chicken nuggets, but he loves all the sides. And you're probably thinking, so the child doesn't like turkey. What's the big deal? Until all of a sudden, that simple thing goes against the grain of what your traditional family situation has been. And you would be so surprised how many brothers, sisters, parents, friends aren't all that amenable to understanding that your child just doesn't like turkey. Oddly enough, you're going to hear things like, don't substitute it with anything else. They'll learn to like it. Or, we don't serve anything else at our dinner table but turkey, so I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes offering to bring your own food can be met with some sort of pushback as well. People are not all that happy. Often even family members are going to feel a little excluded or upset that you're bringing your own stuff to heat up in the microwave after they've slaved all morning on a traditional meal. And all of a sudden, everybody becomes an expert on child rearing. Don't give in to your crying child. If they can't sit correctly at the table, they need to just leave the table. What kind of parent are you? And you're thinking, how can these people be saying these things to me? How can this pushback possibly be true? But I'm going to tell you, if you gather a group of moms with autistic children, I'm going to go out on the limb and say, I bet you $100 that 3/4 of the people you gather are going to tell you that has been their experience. People become very uncomfortable when their own comfortability is challenged. And it takes somebody with a very open mind to be open to that kind of hosting and what goes along with it when you show up with your special needs child. I have a very close friend, Bonnie, who has another close friend with an autistic child. And Bonnie's friend had so much difficulty in other spaces that Bonnie decided to invite her and her family to join them for the major holidays. And I watched my friend go out of her way to make sure that that little boy had everything he needed: a special seat, special food, being able to be in proximity of the TV so he could watch Barney while everybody else was enjoying a meal. And the mom was always so grateful. But those situations are far and few between. As a parent, you want to make the holiday experience not only easy for your child, not only something that your child can tolerate, but you have to remember, if your child is calm and tolerating what's happening around them, then you can also enjoy the situation at hand. Oftentimes, if you're getting the pushback, it's not fun for you and you're under stress the whole time. Of course, watching children in general is never easy. Having small children is never easy. Adults with small children don't have the luxury of simply having their own great time at the party or at family gatherings, as we all have to keep an eye on what are our kids doing? Where's our child? What are they up to? But those situations are not like a situation with a special needs child. A special needs child situation is really a times 10, and there's extenuating circumstances. In many instances, you have to be with your child the entire time your family's gathering. And so bringing books to the table, bringing music to the table, having visuals that they can easily access, having special seat placements, being able to give them those things relaxes both the child and everyone at the gathering. The foods that are preferred is not only best for them, their comfortability level with them is not only best for them, but it's best for you. I cannot tell you how many dinners I relied on the bag of goldfish crackers so that I could get through a meal or a conversation. I'll tell you a funny story that I kind of feel like I've told it before, but regardless, it's one of my favorites. I had a not great conversation prior to Thanksgiving one year with my brother, who was a pushback guy. He was a let him cry it out, make him eat the turkey type of parent. And he didn't like the fact that I was traveling and I wasn't going to make it on time to his Thanksgiving dinner that he had set for a specific time. Very inflexible. Didn't understand what needed to happen in order for Anthony and myself to have a little warm and cozy family experience. And I'm laughing because is there a warm and cozy family experience outside of my little warm and cozy Beach Boys Christmas dinner? In any case, my brother was not willing to change the time of our dinner to accommodate Anthony and myself, and was also a little miffed that I was proposing another menu for Anthony. So I ended up taking the invitation of my Aunt Ginny. And that was the best thing I ever did. I had so much fun at that Thanksgiving. But it was a very small gathering, small for my family. My aunt and uncle and two of their kids and families, and myself and Anthony. And we were all sitting at this wonderful, big, warm Thanksgiving dinner table. And everyone had their meal on their plate except for Anthony. Anthony was probably around 4. And at 4 years old, pretty much everything was not a prepared food. So in order for me to get through that dinner and enjoy the company and eat in some semblance of peace, I made Anthony a plate that resembled the dinner that Charlie Brown and Snoopy fed their friends in the classic Charlie Brown Thanksgiving movie. So if you've seen it, you'll recall that Snoopy makes toast, popcorn, pretzels, and candy and serves that up as a Thanksgiving meal. And that's pretty much what Anthony had on his plate. He had piles of popcorn and goldfish crackers and pretzels and rolls and pieces of cheese. And he was happy as a lark, grazing through his snacky little meal. And I was perfectly happy, enjoying my turkey and all the trimmings and being able to enjoy my aunt, my uncle, and everybody's conversation. And we were 5 minutes into this dinner, and all of a sudden, one by one, the kids started to cry. And as it turned out, they were upset because they had to eat the traditional dinner and they all wanted the same meal as Anthony. It turned out to be one of the core memories of my family. But it goes to show you the tolerance, the acceptance, and they all got a little bit of a side dish of popcorn and pretzels as well. So what are some of the things that you can do if you're the parent in a situation, or if you're the relative, the host, the friend, the neighbor? So I'm going to mix up these tips all in one. Let's begin with the parent. Number 1 rule, don't feel guilty about creating the holiday that's going to give everyone in your immediate family less stress. You may even be secretly disappointed that what you have always experienced and what you wanted your family to experience is not actually going to happen in the way you thought it would. But what do they say? The only thing that's constant is change. And when you open your mind to the fact that your life is already going to be different, the holidays, the gatherings, the events are just going to have to fall in line with the rest. Decide what works for you. Perhaps not going to the family dinner at all. Maybe just showing up for the dessert. Or maybe you want to turn the tables and host the holiday yourself. This way you have complete control of what's happening for your child in a space they feel comfortable in. They can retreat to their room while all of the hustle bustle is occurring in the living area. Decide what's going to make your child comfortable and stick with that. And if you encounter someone that's not amiable to your suggestions, then maybe you move on to the next relative. I did, and I had a great time that year. Be proactive. Speak with your host. Tell them exactly what it is you're concerned about, how much you want to spend the holidays with them, but these are the things that are going to have to be done. If you're really happy to be the host, you'll listen. So parents, tell your host that you will be in charge of your child. You will provide the food. You will provide the snacks. You'll provide the environment in their home that will make the holiday smooth for all. Don't be afraid to give your host bullet points on exactly why this has to be. One year I had a birthday party for my son, turned 6, and I wanted all of my cousin's kids to come. I wanted him to get to know his family. At that time, he was just beginning at 6 years old to understand his environment around him. And I actually physically mailed a packet to all of my cousins with a little synopsis of autism and actual written bullet points about what to expect, what Anthony could understand, what he couldn't understand. And it was all written in easy to understand language so my cousins could read it to their children. And it was the most successful birthday party. So consider a little cheat sheet about your child that you can send ahead of time. Be willing to answer questions. Be the open book. Why did you need to bring a divided plate? What sensory issues does your child have that would prevent them from wanting their food to be close in proximity to the other food group? Sometimes simply explaining to another person that your child's brain operates a little differently than everyone else's. Reminding it doesn't make it bad, it just simply makes it different. Be very clear about what needs you're going to have as it relates to all of these things, food and seating. Let your family know that you may have to leave the room halfway through dinner with your child just for a little while if it gets too noisy at the table. You're not asking that the noise stop. You're simply removing yourself from the situation before it becomes an overload and then disrupts the dinner. Here's some practical suggestions. Always have a bag on hand with all of the supplies you need to keep your child engaged. Availability to music, visual games, snacks, toys. A little extra time on the iPad won't hurt during the holiday season if it gives your child peaceful joy and gives you an opportunity to find some enjoyment at the event as well. Know ahead of time how long you're going to stay at an event. And if you know that your child can probably tolerate only 2 hours, then end it after 2 hours. Or make a plan with your partner. Perhaps your partner goes home earlier with your child and you get to stay at your family's for an extra hour. This isn't the time to try new clothing. And letting your child wear the holiday sweatshirt a few times before they wear it to the party helps them to feel comfortable in their own skin, as they say. And if there's any aversion to that clothing, then you'll know not to put it on for the day of the event. Now, if you're the host, if you're hosting the family and there's a special situation, especially with behavior that you're not familiar with or intrinsically don't understand, nothing wrong with trying to educate yourself beforehand. Why not you make the call and ask the family member what you can do to make the experience easy for all of them? Instead of you asking for the bullet points at hand, why not kind of Google? Find out, take an hour or so with your family to look up the different nuances of what makes their cousin just a little bit different. It's a whole new learning experience if you sit with your family and realize that you're now participating in making someone's life so much easier. And children nowadays are exposed to differences of all kinds in school. When I went to school, it was very homogeneous. We didn't know many people who had developmental complexities. Today, your child will often say, "Oh, I have a friend just like that in my classroom." Rely on your kids. Many times they can be the leaders. They can be the teachers. Maybe ask yourself a little reflective question. Why is it that you're not able to bend a little when it comes to who's eating turkey at your Thanksgiving table? Or why do you think it's so odd that the child went out for trick-or-treating, accomplished that goal, but doesn't want to eat any of the candy? Ask yourself, why is it bothering you if the child is afraid of the dreidel when it spins quickly, or if your child doesn't like the sound of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah? You may end up finding something about your own personality. You may end up finding out that you're a little more inflexible than you actually thought. Perhaps dealing with a child that presents differently makes you feel some sort of sadness or pity for the child, or sadness and pity for the parent. But it comes expressed through your rigidity of tradition and comfort. As long as you don't have to experience it, then you don't have to feel the deep feelings that you're feeling. Because the face value is, why would it bother you if a kid didn't want to eat a full bag of candy? It might just be a bit of personal growth for you at this moment as well. But if you can take a deep breath, open your mind, and help where help is needed, you could be creating a whole new set of traditions for your entire family. Friends and neighbors, you may realize there's a family in your neighborhood that's going to spend holiday time in a traditional family setting. Or you may notice that there's a child in your neighborhood that can't go trick-or-treating like the rest of the kids do. You may recognize that there's a mom or dad that's completely stressed out at the season because it's emotional overload. Maybe they need a quick meal made for them. Maybe you could encourage your kids or grandkids to include that child in their trick-or-treating adventures. You're not imposing when you knock on the door and ask if you can spread a little happiness, if you can spread a little kindness. Someone may tell you that they're grateful, but not wanting to receive that. They may tell you, we've got this, but that's more than likely not going to be the case. I can tell you that I relied on the kindness of family, friends, and strangers for all of Anthony's childhood. The acceptance of others is truly what got us through and helped Anthony to grow in his understanding of life. It gave him a sense of confidence that who he is was accepted and understood. And now that he's 30 and so much more verbal, it gave him a lifetime of memories. So you may see it simply as a turkey dinner, but that simple turkey dinner can be life-changing. Holidays are emotional enough without adding extra stress and sadness that can come from uncomfortability or non-acceptance. Trust me when I tell you, this is a thing. So help by changing your perspective. Strive to be happy. See you next time here at the Wish House.